हेलो माय इंजीनियर फ्रेंड्स। आप बनाते हैं इलेक्ट्रिक मीटर और आपकी संस्था है देश की सबसे बड़ी संस्था इलेक्ट्रिक मीटर बनाने के लिए। ब्रेन चूंकि इलेक्ट्रोकेमिकल इम्पल्स पे बात करता है, तो हम बात करेंगे आज आपसे कैसे मेडिटॉमिक्स यानी योगा और मेडिटेशन से ब्रेन के अंदर की जो वायरिंग होती है उसको रीवायरिंग कर सकें और ऐसे कनेक्टोटोम डेवलप कर सकें ब्रेन के अंदर कि हमारे रोज़मर्रा की जो परेशानियां हैं, जो अशांति है, उसको इस प्रैक्टिस के द्वारा सप्रेस कर सकें और जो पॉजिटिव चीज़ है, जो सकारात्मक सोच है, जो शांति है, जो खुशी है, उसके कनेक्टोटोम हमारे अंदर एक्टिव रहें और उसकी ज़्यादा हम अनुभूति कर सकें।
Myself, I'm a neurologist, I'm a neuroscientist, primarily a clinician, but my passion is, brain research. I mean, how many of you are engineers here? Can you please raise your hands? Oh my God, so almost 80%. Uh, I just renamed this talk. Once I was talking to Mahipal ji. So something like engineer your brain to better yourself and for a better world. So this would be of some interest. It's an informal interactive talk. If you find something, I'll try to speak your language with my work. And you can interrupt me in between, ask questions if something is not, comprehensive. So please feel free to do that. So basically, like civil engineers, you put pillars to make a building in very simple terms. So brain architectonics is laid down along 4 pillars or bundles. So put it very simple way. So this is how a brain looks like. So basically this is a modern MR image of a brain. If you see here, this is this is like a coronal cut of the brain. So there is one bundle which is we call cingulate bundle. This is ascending limb of circular bundle. This is descending limb, and this is collateral bundle. So along these 4 longitudinal bundles, brain is laid down. Well, the whole idea of telling this is because as we will advance for next half an hour or so in my talk, brain. This is something you see in every MRI we do. So if you connect these bundles all together, you make a circle here. The whole idea of telling you the circle, everything inside is old brain. Old brain means brain which is 500 million years old. And everything this outside is new brain. So old brain is obviously, as we see, this is in primitive species like fish, reptiles and those things. Because this is very important to understand how we behave, how we react. We Homo sapiens are intelligent, we have rationality. It is by virtue of our new brain which we have acquired very recently compared to the old brain. So the whole thing is, the brain is basically, this is two, this disc kind of a structure, 2 discs put together in skull vault, and it weighs around 1.5 kg. So this is protected by your skull vault, and this is something it looks like, and these discs are connected by corpus callosum. Corpus callosum connects right and left brain. I mean, since some of you are software engineer, if I put it this way, your left brain acts like a serial processor, your right brain acts like a parallel processor, and you have connect, that is through corpus callosum. Why I am trying to tell this? Most of the time it is our right brain which is involved in innovation, creation, peace, harmony. Left brain has more rationality, more abstract thinking. So grossly speaking, we all are at peace, at harmony, because our right brain is probably more active as of now. Once you are worried about income tax or something other family problem, then your left brain get activated. The whole idea to tell you about bit of structure of brain, embryology of brain, is by the reason of telling you is how you can modulate this to enhance your life and life of people surrounding you. So basically this is a central strip. This is front of brain, this is back of brain. Because see, brain has, this is frontal lobe, which is front of the brain. Then you have parietal lobe, you have occipital lobe, which is in the back of the brain. So why this is important? When I am messaging you, let's say I am speaking to you, my words are put in a sentence, and maybe I am speaking 5 words per second, something like that, or maybe like that. So this is my normal speed of conversation to you. If I text you a message, depending upon how fast I can type, I can text you a message and deliver you faster speed content. Well, so the whole idea, because nowadays brain is something you must have heard, brain computer interface. So this thing, you all know about this. Third patient was done with Neuralink, very recently. So this is whole thing is basically you have something. If you can read my thoughts, brain generates almost 8 to 9,000 thoughts per day. If you can read my thoughts and deliver it to you, so that would be at a very faster pace. So data can transfer, my hands will not be used. You put a chip inside the skull vault and somebody can, so this is important for many of the brain ailments, many of the brain problems, because brain unfortunately is an organ which does not regenerate. Your heart grows, your skin grows back, your liver grows if it is damaged, but brain does not regenerate. Somebody who is paralyzed, somebody who has lost his speech, somebody who has lost his vision because of brain problems. So basically, you provide an interface through that, but the person is able to understand and generate thoughts. If you can translate these thoughts into action. So this is what brain computer interface or Neuralink is all about. So this is a thing which is happening. Probably this is again, these marvels did happen because of advancement in engineering. So, well, I will go in brief about brain development, because brain is something which is still evolving. Every virtue of our work, skill, intelligence is because of your brain. So brain evolution is still happening. So what is happening? So before we understand that, we all know about Big Bang theory. Religious people would say that God created earth in a day. But we know that there was some explosion and everything was created, the whole galaxy was formed. So universe was created 20 billion years back. Life came only 4 billion years back. Again, there are theories for life, spatial creation, spontaneous creation, but you as an engineers would probably endorse, probably it was some kind of biochemical evolution in the beginning with some amino acid, high temperature, and that led to first cell. But nobody is very sure about how the life originated on earth. But yes, what one knows about is evolution of the brain. 500 million years back, something called a primitive fish, Amphioxus. So what did they have? The fish was in ocean water. The first neuron, the first brain cell emerged in ocean, in sea water. So that was just a neuron surrounding ocean water, the simple brain. So that is the brain of a fish, first fish. Then amphibian and reptile happened. So they had more evolution, 300 million year old brain. So they started possessing brainstem and cerebellum. I showed you in the beginning, everything inside the circle is old brain, everything outside is new brain. So there is no new brain as of now. This is why it is important, because that is a territorial brain. A brain of a reptile is a territorial brain. They have brainstem and cerebellum. So predominantly this would work for them. You encroach into territory of a snake, he will bite you. If you don't disturb him, probably he will not come at you. So this territorial brain is still present in us. Many times you have bosses in your offices, you take any work to them, they will just scold you and turn you away. So that is probably that reptile brain which is still there in us is overactive. So this I would narrate in the beginning how you can modulate your brain for routine things. So this is important to know. Mammalian brain 200 million years old. So they, it kept on evolving. And what happened? The brain size kept on increasing. Then primate brain, I will not go in details of that. Once brain size is, finally we have this human brain which was like 1500, I told you about 1.5 kg, 1500 cubic centimeter. This brain size was there in Homo sapiens. That's nothing but we all are Homo sapiens. So the brain, why has to brain evolve? This is another in nutshell. This is brain of the fish, then reptiles, amphibian, and this is our modern brain. So everything. This is old brain and this is new brain. We as Homo sapiens started having more of cooked diet when the evolution happened. We started having more of like sometimes meat also, because there is something called Java man, which is Homo erectus in evolution. The first time they started having meat, and there were social complexities. So people started living in group. So once you are living in group, then you have to make decisions, adjust with people, communicate with them, solve the problem, emotional, social. So these are the things which are driving human brain evolution. Why I am saying this, today also brain is still evolving. Maybe 500 million years later, neuroscientists predict that our brain would bulge from the back. We would have hump at the back. So it is still evolving. As of now, we have neo-Palean or new brain. So this is like evolution of the brain is still happening, and once the brain is evolving, so brain has a history of 500 million years. The whole idea of telling you this, heart, liver, kidney, lung, skin, they merely increased in number of cells and size. It is only brain, only organ in our body which has a history. So what was the trade-off? That is why brain takes away 20% of energy consumption of our body. And there are complex challenges when childbirth is there, because brain is evolving, it is increasing, large and large. So this is important thing, that brain evolution happened, and that is why we all Homo sapiens are able to have traits which are not there in any of the earlier species. I told you about territorial brain like brainstem and cerebellum, which is present in reptile and amphibians, and that is they would have a limited sense, but intelligence, rationality, abstract thinking, logic, all these things are virtue of even calculation. Engineering mind has developed. None of the lower species would have engineering mind. And one of the important things for brain development was human beings started using tools. So once you use tools, once you do any kind of engineering work, your brain develops. So that is why diet, tool use, social complexities, that was responsible for human brain evolution. Well, now I come back. Plants also have life, but they don't move. We, animals, we do move. So movement requires continuous adaptation to your surrounding situation. So you have to predict environment. And predictor organ in the human body is brain. So this is what it is. Me, my baby dog. Once there is a doorbell is there, somebody is knocking, she would rush. She would rush. She is still a lower evolution brain. She would rush and stand there. I will go out, open the door. Depending upon my mood, she would react. If she is very unhappy, she would happily bark and she would show me how good she looks. But if I am sad, then accordingly she will behave. So that kind of some amount of emotional quotient has started developing at the level of dog evolution. Why I am saying you this thing? There are three things, three type of questions. Intelligent questions, that's IQ. You all know about IQ. You all have high IQ. You all are engineers. You have high intelligent quotients. IQ or intelligent quotient is more or less genetically determined. You cannot create a super genius out of a moron. So that is genetically determined. Then you have EQ, emotional quotient. Very simple definition. Emotional quotient means IQ multiplied by empathy or wisdom is your EQ. So EQ is either there or EQ is not there. It is very important to enhance your EQ as a leader or as an executive, so as to have a workplace peace and happiness, not only in your family life but in your workplace also. So one should have a good EQ also in addition to IQ. And last thing which I will be discussing later on is SQ, spiritual quotient, that I will tell you in the end. So a leader in a corporate, field like in Secure Meters, a leader should be mentally agile. He should be agile to people. He should be agile to changes happening. Secure Meters started making meters, and what not all is being done today. So that's how agile you are. They should be agile to results. They should be agile to self-awareness. Again, when it comes to leadership, certain leaders are born leaders. But most of the places like IIM and they produce leaders. So there are two theories, behavioral theory and trait theory. We will not go in details of that. But one should understand there are certain things, if these are not born in you, you can still develop them. You can still, evolve them. Common factor in a leader, or common traits, leader is always accountable to his actions. He is adaptable, as I told in the beginning, that adaptation is a very important thing. Confidence and clarity are two important things. And empathy, which is probably the most important thing in a good leader. You should understand, suffering of your colleagues, your friends. So this is how it would be. Then brain has this Miller's law. This is maybe many times in industry this is talked about. You give your employee one work, 2 assignment, 3 assignment, 4 assignment, 4 assignment. You are actually, after giving 4 assignment at a time, you are going to kill his talent and you compromise your results. So that's a very well-known fact. So this is the very reason that one should, not do it with junior employees like that. So it will, decrease output. Another important thing with your colleagues, with your juniors, in your office, brain is fearful brain. I told you there are 3 things. You are challenged to a situation. Suppose you are in a board meeting or wherever, and certain amount of discussion is going on, and discussion is not going the way you want it to go, or maybe things are against you in that meeting. What you will do? Either you will assert your point, fight, argue. Second thing, you would not speak anything, and you would, try to run away from there, and once the meeting is over, you will not discuss and you will quietly leave. Third thing is, you are overwhelmed with information and discussion going on that you get frozen. You have no idea what to do. So these are the 3 things, 3 brain responses. So that is why in frozen state it is always, said that you don't make any decision. So there are various techniques you can use to come out of this frozen state by mindfulness or deferring decisions. So this is important. This is what I was trying to tell you. Now I come back to what structures I was showing you in the beginning. See, old brain has structures. There is something called limbic system in the brain. Limbic system is quick. It reacts very fast. As I was telling about example of lower species animals, snake, or you go in their territory, they will bite you. Then the brain which is here, frontal brain, prefrontal brain, this is analytical brain. So this is something like this. So you have to, once what happens, the situation is there, this hypothalamic pituitary axis is activated, you either fight or flight. So you have to have coping strategies for modulating these brains. Okay. And then you have certain things called uncontrollable brain sometimes, which is very evident in addictions. Because what happens in addiction, there are certain reward mechanisms happening in the brain. You are taking alcohol, you are smoking, reward mechanisms are happening in brain. There is something called two happy hormones. You all must have heard dopamine and serotonin. So dopamine is in brainstem. The Rafi nucleus will secrete it. Dopamine. Serotonin is also happy hormone. So both of them would produce pleasure. So sometimes this pleasure dominates analytical capability of the brain. So you know logically it is wrong to do, wrong to smoke, wrong to have alcohol, but the pleasure mechanism which are there in your brain would repeatedly, push you for that. So this is how whole brain works. What happens sometimes through certain meditation exercises, you can modulate, these dopamines and serotonin without getting into addiction and other things. In bad habits, you can have actually not only meditation, breathing exercises. Certain times there are certain diets also. For example, in diet I tell you fresh vegetables, green leafy vegetables. Then you have those who eat egg. Egg is one good source of serotonin and dopamine, so that you can consume. Spinach. So there are many things in the diet also. You can modify your diet accordingly, to elevate your dopamine and serotonin level in the blood. And this is how it. So, because this is very important, because in brain, any company or any family or anywhere, normally right from the time of childhood, what happens? You do certain rituals every day in your life. Then this ritual, suppose you come every day late in your office, this will become your routine. If you come every day in right time in the office, leave at right time, so you started as a ritual, being disciplined in the office, then that becomes your routine, and then it becomes your habit. आदत फिर वो संस्कार बन जाते हैं. Why I am saying this? Because right from the childhood, you can modify rituals, you can change routines, you cannot change habits. In a child also, if you allow your child to do Netflix all the time, I can guarantee you, whatever you do, whatever program you take the child in, so if it is to be done, it has to be done in the very beginning. So you have to set their routine and rituals so as to create permanent habits or not to create permanent habits. So because many times we think that initially, okay, we'll do this like this, we'll give them liberty, we'll do this, that, and ultimately it doesn't change. And so this is a very important thing, whether it applies to your child, whether it applies to your office work or your family things. So this is very important because of very simple reason. Again, the brain is here. Something which is deeply ingrained in your basal ganglia circuits, it will not change. So this is the whole idea that one should be very, careful about these things. Many times it is said that there is a lot of stress around us. Everybody talks of stress, anxiety. I have many patients every day who would have a lot of stress and anxiety. See, stress is not bad. Distress is bad. Distress means which is producing negativity, your output is going negative, your work output, your family output, everything is going negative. Because what has happened, let's say, for example, our children, even in 9th or 10th grader child, nowadays, they will always say, बहुत anxiety हो रही है, बहुत stress हो रहा है. I have many kids, 7th, 8th में पढ़ते हैं, they have stress, anxiety, and they come with headaches. Most of 80% of problems are psychosomatic, I tell you. Psychosomatic, headaches, anxiety, these could produce, sometimes it will produce any kind of, problem in your body. And it is all in the brain. So 80% of the problems are psychosomatic in nature, let me tell you this thing. They would present with different systems. Even some people will present with paralysis also. And you find that there is no stroke, there is no paralysis. So important thing to know is, we have reduced, many times what happens, you have to increase resilience of your child. आपने भी 10th बोर्ड का एग्जाम दिया होगा ना. आजकल तो एग्जाम में 10-10 दिन का गैप होता है. बच्चे फिर भी इतना स्ट्रेस एंजाइटी में रहते हैं. हमारे टाइम में काफी गैप नहीं होता था, रोज एग्जाम होता था, डेली एग्जाम होता था. व्हाट यूज आवर पेरेंट्स यूज्ड टू डू व्हाट, अगर हमें बहुत ज्यादा एंजाइटी और स्ट्रेस होती थी, व्हाट डिड दे डू टू यू? एनीबॉडी हैजिंग आइडिया? पार्डन? एक तो सो जाओ, जिनके पेरेंट्स बहुत काइंड होते हैं वो कहते हैं सो जाओ, और कॉफी, एनीथिंग एल्स?
उसके अलावा डांट पड़ती थी, साल भर अच्छे से पढ़ना था.
यू आर वेरी राइट. डांट पड़ती थी, कभी चाटा पड़ता था, तो ब्रेन के सर के जल जाते थे. Once you have, this is a form of treatment also. You cannot lose it now. You will be shaped today. So once you have, physically you have, so not only you have, changed all the circuits in the brain. Something like that, your fuse is not working, you just shake it and sometimes it works. So what I am trying to tell you here, we are reducing resilience of our children. We are telling them, बच्चा मत करो, सो जाओ, कॉफी पी लो, आराम कर लो, नहीं पढ़ना है, नंबर नहीं चाहिए, टेंशन मत करो नंबर की. सो हमने रेजिलियंस कम कर दिया, तो स्ट्रेस, आप तो यू ऑल नो, आई मीन स्ट्रेस विल बी डबल्ड. You reduce resilience by half, stress will be doubled, same thing. So we need to increase resilience of our children. We are copying Western system of education. I would still say our system of education is the best in the world. As a doctor, as an engineer, you go anywhere in the world, Indian doctors, Indian engineers, they do very well because their education system was very robust. We are copying, जहाँ पे आप pass fail भी बंद कर रहे हैं. They just give grades and promote and grades. So this is something, as a neuroscientist, I find this is a bizarre thing which is happening in the society. We are just copying West without having a logic in this thing. We are reducing resilience, we are increasing stress ourselves. So how to increase? So basically, I will not go again in details of that, but this is important thing to determine. Two things are very important because many times, people ask me social media how much kids should be allowed and not allowed like that. So I have very clear answers for that. Maybe we can discuss in the end if we have time. So anyway, so this all thing I was talking about, So what do? You have a complex life. You have a complex life at home, at workplace, everywhere. So what do? So as a doctor, as a neurologist, for me it is a very simple thing. Whosoever comes with stress, anxiety, depression, psychosomatic problems, I would write them serotonin increasing drugs or dopamine increasing drugs. Okay. So SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitor drugs. Most commonly, tons and tons of drugs are consumed every day. So that's simple thing for me. Give a drug, elevate his mood. So this is something which is of temporary nature. Again, you are playing with your brain here, but that is of temporary, consequence or result. So we have something called spiritualism with us. So many things, this concept of spiritualism, which is 5,000 years back or maybe even before that. So you have, because spiritualism, again, if you see Western textbook, if you see Oxford, dictionary. So their definition of spiritualism is somebody who is empowered to connect a person with his dead family member. So that's real, definition if you see in the dictionary. So their purpose or their understanding or their sense of spiritualism is something, some paranormal or some luminous, figure or something like that. In Hindi what we call प्रेतात्मा और भूत प्रेत वाला वो ज़्यादा होता है वेस्टर्न उसमें. हमारा जो स्पिरिचुअलिज्म का डेफिनेशन है, हिंदी में आध्यात्म बोलते हैं. आध्यात्म जो स्वयं का अध्ययन के द्वारा परिचय कराया हुआ आध्यात्म है. So this is very simple. Why I am saying this thing कि आध्यात्म is a science which brings happiness, peace. Not only in individual. Once it is there in individual, it will happen in family also. Once it is in family, then it will happen at workplace also. So your workplace become a source of pleasure and joy instead of daily core of work for you. So this is why very important, because this is something we worked on it. And spiritualism is such a nice thing. It doesn't have any side effects. Because spiritualism, we use only 70% of our brain whole our life. If I ask you today, you just run your home with 70% of your salary today. I give you only 30% and 70% is not given to you. How you will run your home? but we are running whole life with 30% brain use. So this is what it is, and how you can enhance that. Because advantage is not only your own inner peace, happiness, reflecting in yourself, in your workplace, in your society, but the advantages will prevent so many diseases. As I said, 90% of diseases are psychosomatic in nature. Once you enhance your brain capacity, you can prevent so many diseases, heart attacks, strokes, many other problems like that, which are so-called lifestyle diseases today. So the best tool for you is neurotheology. So that is something we started working upon. That neurotheology is scientific aspect of spiritualism. I was just thinking how you can simply say that you have some problem in your body or in your mind. So you are just looking for a blood test for that also, like blood sugar you have for diabetes, or you can measure your blood pressure also. So something like HSCRP, again I will not go in detail. If it is elevated in your body, then something is wrong with you. What it is, there is no specific thing, but something is wrong. Well, so I come back just what primarily, since I am a clinician, this is a young boy, 19-year-old. He had a left-sided weakness. I have some time now.
Yeah.
He had left-sided hemiplegia, complete weakness, 19-year-old. He lives in a small town. He goes to district hospital. A CT scan is done. So this is something, plain CT. You see, the artery supplying to this part of the brain is blocked. He is referred to the next day. This is story I am telling you this thing because this I face every day in my department. The next day he goes to district hospital where a CT is done. The very next day on the day 3, usually patient will go to a higher center where he can be treated. So simple thing for this is 10 minutes job. You just do some angiography. The block is here. You open the artery. Sometimes paralysis reverses, or at least it does not progress, and it doesn't become permanent thing in your life. Because stroke is #1 cause of disability in our country. Stroke. Many people know about heart attack, but stroke. Because whenever I get time, I just tell stroke. You must be able to identify what is stroke. Stroke is second killer cause of death in our country. Stroke means WHO says fast facial weakness, sudden onset arm or leg weakness, sudden onset change in speech. So this will, you will diagnose 90% of strokes. You see somebody who is slurring suddenly, you see somebody who is having weakness suddenly, because all body is governed by brain. Any sudden even loss of vision could be an impending stroke. So stroke meant time is brain. Within 24 hours, you reach to a center where if there is a blockage, it should be opened. Otherwise, it remains, lifelong with you. And heart attack kills a person, stroke kills a family. So this is the whole thing I was telling. Because, see, when I was talking about spiritualism, WHO I mentioned, fast, you remember this thing? WHO, what is health? We all are here. How many of us are healthy? Physical, mental, social well-being. These 3 things were part of health. If socially you are well, physically you are well, mentally you are well. WHO itself has added a 4th domain, that is spiritually whether you are healthy or not. So that's a part of health. So completely healthy. So basically then the whole thing, once we were deterring these brain thrombus or clots from the brain, we started, many times you will find that somebody who has never smoked, never taken a drink of alcohol, very regularly exercising every day, lean and thin build, he has a massive heart attack on the treadmill. Many times this you would have heard of. So that was 20 years down the line. I was all perplexed. Why does it happen then? The person is so fit. One of my head of the department, he died on the treadmill. So basically these thrombus, again this credit goes to this data is so much so. One more thing, 1 cubic centimeter of brain, it is a network brain. So brain works, this thing I forgot to tell, brain works on electrochemical impulses. We have, long these axons, there are neurons, brain cell is neuron. So neuron cell is nothing like but, long fibers. They are fibers. The one fiber is connecting with other fiber, that's called synapse. Electrical transmission is there. Then at synapse level you have some calcium or some neurotransmitter release which excites another neuron, and the chain happens. So electrochemical, brain works on electrochemical impulses. Okay. So what is happening other than, I come back to this, so this is something that was original research we published first time in the country and outside also. We could identify 27 bacteria from thrombus MS in a normal person, I mean who had only stroke, no infection. So we propose this mechanism because certain things, certain bacteria which are on your skin, in your mouth, in your gut, they are your commensals, they are your friends. Our body cell is outnumbered by 10 raised to power 6 bacteria sitting on our body. So anyway, so how does these bacteria, they lead to stroke or heart attack? That is something we propose. I will not go in details of that, but what I am trying to tell you is the concept of Vidra. This is what we propose, that apart from hypertension, diabetes, smoking, sedentary lifestyle, cholesterol excess, and genetic factor, you have something called lack of hygiene which can be responsible for stroke and heart attack. That's Vidra. So Vidra is a Sanskrit term that means spotless, cleanliness. So this is one risk factor one must observe. In COVID time, so much reduction in heart attack and stroke happened because our lifestyle was, do you really think it was better at that time? The food, the hygiene level and everything was so good at that time. So that itself speaks. Well, so I think all the treatment of heart attack and stroke, earlier in blockage we used to do surgery, now we do angioplasty, stenting, future belongs to probably we'll inject a vaccine in a child and he will never have stroke or heart attack all his life, like you do in mumps, measles, rubella vaccines. So that time will also come. Then I come to this slide which is very close to me, that I started, there is every disease in the body is because of some inflammation somewhere. Inflammation in normal terms called सूजन है कहीं. Inflammation आपका बॉडी में थोड़ा बहुत होगा, पेट के अंदर होगा, सर में होगा. अगर सर में जो फ्लॉक है, अगर वो उधर इन्फ्लेमेशन है तो वो रप्चर हो गया, चाहे वो बैक्टीरिया से हो, किसी से भी वो रप्चर हो गया तो इवेंट हो जाएगा. पेट में हो सकता है. You can't find every time. You have to thoroughly investigate. So what do you do in daily life? I found something called turmeric. We all use in our home. Haldi. So it has curcumin. Curcumin is active ingredient of haldi. Turmeric is such a strong anti-inflammatory, very potent anti-inflammatory, very potent antimicrobial, antifungal, antioxidant, sometimes anti-carcinogenic also. But this drug does not find any mention in allopathic textbook. It is not a drug according to my MBBS curriculum. So it is, and US was trying to patent turmeric. So we also started working. We did some work and we published that work also, because this is an ancient medicine present in our household from many years. So turmeric. So the best thing for suppressing inflammation. Now this is published work. In nutshell, I will tell you. Use every day, if you are not using any tablet, use 1 glass of milk, a proper milk, cow milk or buffalo milk, not a toned milk because it will not have any fat. Dissolve 1.5 teaspoonful of turmeric into that. That will have 500 milligram of curcumin. Along with sprinkle a dash of black pepper, that will have piperine around 1 milligram. So medicine is also there, 500 to 1 milligram. I have a medicine also for that, but do it in your home. Every day if you start taking it, most of your inflammation, small level inflammation would go away. So that would help you in prevention of many of these things. So this is the message which was scientifically published. Because there is something I saw that in our house, even in marriages there, haldi is using so rampantly. So the rationale behind using is such a robust, and that would, one thing. Because any kind of spiritualism, as I was talking about, spiritualism, if you heard of this Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pratyahara, Pranayam, Dharana. So basically, 8 limbs, what in routine practical, I am talking about brain modulation. I am not going to, I am not giving you any spiritual lecture here. I am talking about brain modulation, how you can use it. As I told about diet, like haldi, obviously I told you about serotonin having diet, turmeric milk every day, that would definitely make you not only healthy, but it gives you many times. Haldi has memory, some memory. I have not done research on memory, but it is said that it helps in memory also. So basically your diet, then you combine pranayama, which is breathing exercise, asana, which is physical exercise, and meditation is dhyan. So you combine 3 things together in daily life, put it in half an hour, module, which we did. Precisely what we did was, we combined three things together, made a half an hour module, and we administered this module over a period of 12 weeks in 100 patients. And in another 100 patients we did not do. Now, how do I know brain is modulating? The simple thing is, as a neurologist, as a neuroscientist, I have very simple scales. What I can do is, I have something called psychometric test. With these tests, you can measure that whether your depression, anxiety, stress level are going down or DES scale. I have a scale. It's a score, so it cannot go wrong. Then I have memory scale, IQ scales, I have EQ scales, I have spiritual quotient scales also. So I will use all my psychometric tests at the baseline and after 12 weeks. Another thing, I have EEG. You all know about ECG of the heart. You know ECG. As I said, brain also work on electrochemical impulses. So you can pick up electric activity of the brain by EEG, electroencephalogram. So basically, EEG would tell you real-time brain activity, and another thing is functional MRI, which is not so routinely available and more cost. These are very two simple things which cost you nothing practically. So we started doing that baseline psychometric testing and an EEG study before and after. We saw normally we are in beta state of mind. We have four brain waves: alpha, beta, delta, theta. Delta, theta, sleep waves, like slow waves. Alpha is your 8 to 12 hertz wave, which is relaxation wave. When you go into meditation, you build up your alpha. Posteriorly, it starts from the back and goes up and up in the front. So you build up your alpha wave when you do meditation regularly. So this is what we saw. So with this, we saw that basically all the quotient improved after doing this module. We published that also. So it is not only you improve in psychometric testing, your EEG, but also in your level of serotonin and dopamine, which I was telling you in the beginning. You do on the baseline and you do it after 12 weeks. So these are very simple things. It was a very simple study. I did this, some study, then I was discussing, like I did a seminar with Shivani ji, and I was talking that you suggest us the module and we give you scientific evidences for that. So this is how we collaborated and tried to work with them. So neurotheology is one thing which in India, not many people are doing, but this is explaining neurological basis of spiritualism. Because there are many things, like there is a law of conflict in brain. There is a conflict between conscious and subconscious mind. Now I'll ask you, you will say which will win when there is a conflict between two. Your logic, your consciousness, that is governed by your left brain, or without any rationale, you have a fear of flying, or if you have fear of dark, going into dark. If you have a fear of flying, you know that flight will not crash. There are very less accidents happening, You go in the dark in your home, nobody is going to kill you there. But if you have that fear, in true sense, you will not do that. So it is usually subconscious mind wins over conscious mind or logical mind. So that's again a fact. And even if you see in the history also, logical people, right kind of thinking people, usually they have lost argument, not only argument but their lives also to religious people who said just aise hota hai. Well, so this is one thing I was telling you. IQ we cannot increase or decrease it. Okay. EQ, this is relational capacity with others. This can be modulated by meditation, yoga. So neurotheology can actually help you. Those of you who are interested in getting this module also, that's already available on my on Google also. You can find this module. It's already published. Then highest form of intelligence is spiritual quotient. IQ, left brain, EQ, right brain. When there is synchronous processing of whole brain, that is responsible for spiritual quotient, SQ. This is again measurable thing. Higher the SQ is, higher is inner peace, happiness within you. You start ignoring small family problems. You just don't shout on your kid. There is a small family conflict or issue, you just ignore it. you learn to ignore it. It becomes part of your habit then. Routine, ritual and habit. So basically, by practicing this neurotheology or meditation practice like this, so once you ignore it, you are happy in yourself. Once you are happy with yourself, you will not be unhappy with your family also. Once you are happy with your family, yourself, you go to work, as I said in the beginning also, your workplace becomes a joy place rather than a daily, chorus to earn money only. So this is same thing. This is the highest form of intelligence, wisdom, compassion, joy, love, energy, creativity and peace. You cannot acquire it just like that. You cannot get it out of drugs also. This has to be practiced. Spiritualism, my interest in spiritualism, I tell you a very short, interesting story. One day I was doing this is carotid vein artery. There was a tight blockage here. It was blockage here. I just removed the blockage, took the clot out here, and okay, I did a good job and it was fine. Next day in the rounds I went, and the boy was, he was muttering. I could not understand what he's telling. He was telling something like Ami Kusarda. I did not understand that. That day, one of my Bangladeshi friend happened to visit my department and he was there on the rounds with me. He is a person from Wagar and he said that he's saying, I'm hungry. Ami Kusarda, I'm hungry. Those who are Bengali, they would understand probably. So I'm not a Bengali, I did not know that. A boy from Wagar would never have exposure to Bengal or anywhere. So the boy was, I told him, so that means for me it was that I created some complication. I made him a Bengali. So at that time I tried to just run over it and I did not pay much attention to that and he gradually improved also. But that is sometime when I read about a case that you have sometimes insult to a brain, to speech area in a way, you start speaking different language, which can make some sense. I do not have a very sound scientific basis as of now for that, but there are few cases reported. So once I read, so I thought there is something beyond what we do in medicine. So there has to be something more to explore, because ultimately our whole idea is to make you physically, mentally, spiritually and socially healthy. So whatever instruments or tools I would have in the process, I will use it. So these are the spiritual experiences. Once you do this practice, I tell you, core component of spiritual experiences they are very intense. They are very clear. They create a sense of unity. They create a sense of surrender and permanency in you. And there are various spiritual experiences. I would not go because every religion would have these experiences. Because sometimes supreme forgiveness in Jainism, in Islam also. So I will not go in the religion part of that. But this was a very famous Hatha Yoga was used to quit smoking in US when it was published on Times magazine. This is a monk who was burned alive because he protested against king, but he did not move. He did not, because he was such a robust meditation practitioner that he just turned into ashes, but he didn't cry or move at all when he was burned. So these are all documented truths. In Christianity also you have these things. This is something what I was talking about, EEG. Somebody who has going in a tunnel-like of experience. So this area of brain is responsible for vision. So occipital lobe, this is part of that. That shows spiking, spikes here. So this thing does happen. So basically the whole idea of, let me tell you in one sentence, how does spiritualism, meditation, breathing exercise, it helps you or it helps. Once you reach to, we are normal people working in normal day. We are not yogis. So our part was to derive, peace, happiness and wisdom out of these exercises. But once you ascend in meditation, once you start doing it for hours altogether, like yogis will do, what happens in brain? So this is evident from my own experiment also. What happens? I told you this front of the brain, this frontal lobe, front part of the brain is responsible for decision making, logical thinking, etc. This brain, which is parietal lobe, this is responsible for my orientation to time, place and person. You are sitting there I am here, the desk is there, the mobile is there, specs are there. So there is a self-world dichotomy. This is by parietal lobe. By meditation practice, and there is something called limbic system. I told you hippocampus. Hippocampus is a place where emotions are there, joy is there, grief is there, sorrow is there. Okay. So once you start meditating over years altogether, your frontal lobe lights up, and that is evident from, you can see it in the EEG. Frontal lobe will spike, activities will be more in frontal lobe waves. Your parietal lobe slows down. The activity in parietal lobe slows down. Okay. And simultaneously, third thing that will happen is your neuronal spur to your hippocampus would fire immensely. Again, you can see it either through psychometric analysis, through EEG, or sometimes functional MRI. Functional MRI is basically you see changes in the brain on a dynamic basis. So these three things, so what is happening? My logic, my concentration is enhancing, my difference of self and world is diminishing, and I have immense joy and pleasure in myself. So this is what they called, when you reach to zenith of that, they called Brahman Vilin ho gaye. So you lose that sense of self and world. So this is how it is. It has a scientific basis. This will escape. So everything, these are functional MRI images. You see, this is the baseline MRI. See, this is front of brain. You can see here, red, all red. This is on the side is parietal lobe. So red is increased. So activity in the frontal is increased by MRI image. These are MRI images. And on the side, that is parietal lobe, has diminished. So this is 3 weeks apart. 12 weeks apart. This is the difference you can see on a functional MRI after these practice. And you know function of these parts. This is again when during and after meditation. If something you do not, there is somebody, there are atheists also, those who do not believe in God. Brain does not differentiate that whether you worship one religion or other religion or you are atheist. Whatever practice you do, howsoever you modulate, every brain will have similar, expression. Kirtan Kriya, very simple techniques, Sa, Da, Nama, where they use verbal and they use this mudra. That is again for Alzheimer, it is very, because again this is all scientific. Alzheimer disease, if you do this Kirtan Kriya, which was proposed by a Sikh leader, way back, and you do it repeatedly. Satnam is sometimes first time you whisper, then you do in normal voice, then in a loud voice. Okay. So Kirtan Kriya meditation studies, you can see with the functional MRI studies. I will not go in details of these studies. So neuroscientists are sometimes of opinion that spiritual experiences are not just result of divine contact with the divine, but rather effect of electrochemical elements interpreted in our brain. As an engineer, you would agree with that. So this is how so this is whole circuit of spiritualism, what we could make out of it through brain circuit, which is not very. So we did, this is our number, almost 1200 patients we did, and this is the module which is available. How we administered this module of half an hour every day. This is how depression went down, anxiety level went down, stress went down through DES score. It's a simple score. Here, transformation, result of spiritual experience, family relationship improved, health improved, fear of death improved, purpose of life improved, religiousness improved, spirituality improved, workplace productivity improved significantly. So that's the crux for those who work in corporates. Family relation, there was worsening also in 5% patient, which was something I really don't know the answer as of now. So this is the paper which we published also in a leading journal from King's College London. So I think I would probably finish here. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, please, sir.
Please, one by one.
So nowadays, a lot of things are happening on vagus nerve, sympathetic and parasympathetic kind of.
Yes, sir. The vagus is parasympathetic.
And they are saying that spiritual things and yoga can enhance the Kundalini yoga and those things.
Yeah.
On the parasympathetic side.
Yes. Now, this is a very, very relevant question. I tell you. I mean, since it was very detailed and unusual kind of presentation for me also, because mostly I'll be talking to my subject only. So basically, see, I told you about emotional quotient, EQ. EQ is nothing but parasympathetic and sympathetic ratio. I told you EQ, one definition could be IQ multiplied by wisdom is also EQ. Okay, EQ means empathy, compassion, kindness to others. Parasympathetic is, as you said, vagus is most prominent parasympathetic nerve in our body, which is there in heart and everywhere, in our gut and everywhere it is there. The work of vagus nerve or parasympathetic function is to slow down your heart rate, to control your pressures, to keep you calm. Very simple. The function of sympathetic nervous system is something what I was calling flight. You are exposed to certain challenging situation, your heart rate goes up, your mouth gets dry. This is what happens. So this is sympathetic response, and you run away from there, or you fight with them, whatever you do. But your sympathetic adrenaline, what we call adrenaline rush. Adrenaline is the adrenaline and noradrenaline are neurotransmitters of sympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic is to sympathetic. If it is more than one, you are calm, your heart rate is okay, you are comfortable, you are in control. So parasympathetic dominance is better IQ thing. So this is how. Apart from the vagal nerve stimulation you do in many diseases, I don't think that will make any sense to discuss here. Yeah.